Good morning, friends. Today we'll be discussing on deviance, crime, and delinquency. In each and every society, the behavior of an individual or a group determines how a deviant creates norms. According to Emile Durkheim, that deviance was, in fact, a normal and necessary part of social organization. He stated four important functions of deviance. Deviance affirms cultural values and norms. Deviance is the fact or state of diverging from usual or accepted standards, especially in social behavior. That means it describes an action or behavior that violates social norms, including a formally enacted rules as well as informal violation of social norms. Deviance is a behavior disposition that is not in conformity with the institutional setup or code of conduct. According to William Graham Sumner, deviance is a violation of established contextual, cultural, or social norms, whether folkways, mores, or codified laws. Folkways are nothing but norms based on everyday cultural customs concerning practical matters like how to hold a fork, what type of clothes we need to put on, and so, my dear friends. Then, who is a deviant? A deviant is someone whose behavior falls far outside of society's norms. So we call that person, the person is going to violate the set of rules and regulations which are framed by that particular society. That person is called as a deviant person. For example, a old person marrying a young girl is treated as a deviant action. Is treated as a deviant action. Deviance is divided into two types of activities. The first type is the crime, is nothing but the violation of formally enacted laws and is referred to as formal deviance. Like, for example, it may be robbery, theft, rape, assault, and so on. The second type of deviant behavior involves violation of informal social norms. For example, picking one's nose, belching loudly, or standing unnecessarily close to another person, then we call it as deviant behavior, which is in violation of the informal social norms. Now let us discuss the nature of deviant behavior. Deviance can or will differ across cultures. It is not the same in each and every community or in each and every society. For example, in China, specific rules govern determines like when people can or cannot speak, what they how long they cannot speak. All these are there in China, whereas in terms of India, it is not so, my dear friends. So it varies from one state or from one culture to the other culture. Sociological literature on deviance takes many forms. It can be informal deviance, focused on deviance vacations, whereby people of a given socio-economical status voluntarily enter different, often lower or social strata. For example, heterosexual white males who become drag queens on weekends. This behavior represents a luxurious because heterosexual white males can afford to make a temporarily shift and so on like. According to Merton, there are 5 types of deviance, my dear friends. There are 5 types of deviance. The first one is, there are 5 types of deviance in relation with the acceptance or rejection of social goals and the institutionalized means of achieving them. The first one is innovation. Innovation is a response due to the strain generated by our cultural emphasis on wealth and lack of opportunities to become rich, my dear friends. Innovators accept societal goals but reject socially acceptable means of achieving them. For example, I have to become rich, but the society is going to keep certain restrictions or certain set of rules and regulations which is going to stop me from becoming rich. So what I do, I'm going to accept the innovation, but I'm going to reject the societal norms and values which is going to stop me from becoming rich. The second one is conformist, who accept societal goals and socially acceptable means of achieving them. He's saying that he's going to accept the societal goals. At the same time, he's also going to accept the means of achieving these goals, my dear friends. The third one is ritualism, which refers to the inability to reach a cultural goal, thus embracing the rules of to the point where the people in the question lose sight of their larger goals in order to feel respectable. The fourth one is retreatism. It is nothing but the rejection of both cultural goals as well as the means. And the last one is rebellion. It is almost similar like retreatism, because the people in question also reject both the cultural goals and means, but they go one step further to counter culture that supports the social orders that already exist in that community. That means they're also going to break the set of rules and regulations which are there. So we call it as rebellion. So there are 5 types of deviance in relation with the acceptance or rejection of social goals which are there in the institutions. Now let us discuss what is this crime. The concept of crime takes a cue from deviance. However, the difference is that deviance characterizes violation of norms, folkways, and mores, whereas crime is characterized by the violation of the law of the land. Crime is therefore an act of deviance that breaks not only a norm but also the laws which are there in that particular state or country. Now let us see the classification of crimes. The first one is felony crime. A felony is considered a serious crime. Most states and the federal governments classify a crime that is punishable by more than 1 year in prison as a felony. If any person is going to get punishment for more than 1 year, then it is treated as a felony. Some states consider a felony as any crime that is punishable by any length of time in prison. A felony that is punishable by death is considered as a capital crime, my dear friends. The common felony crimes include murder, rape, kidnapping, arson, robbery, and so on, my dear friends. The second type of crime is misdemeanor crime. A misdemeanor is considered a less serious crime. Most states and federal governments classify a crime that is punishable by less than 1 year in prison as a misdemeanor. For example, a minor offense such as jaywalking, the crime may be classified as a petty offense. Prostitution, trespassing, speeding, vandalism, and so on, or providing or using a false ID. All these are treated as misconduct, my dear friends, and the person can be punished less than 1 year. So we call it as misdemeanor crime. Then the third one is crimes against the person. A crime against the person is a crime that is committed using direct harm or force against the victim. Usually the most serious crimes such as murder, rape, or the crimes against the persons. Then the fourth one is crime against property. A crime against property is a crime that is committed by damaging or intruding on the property of the victim. So it can be burglary, arson, or damage of the value, and so on. Then the next one is theft and fraud crimes. Theft and fraud crimes. There are variety of theft and fraud crimes that involve illegal taking a victim's property, whether a theft or a fraud crime is a misdemeanor or a felony, usually depends on the value of the property stolen and the method used to commit the crime. A fraud crime is a crime in which deception is used to cause another person to suffer financial harm. The next one is crimes against public order. It may be like a crime that harms the community. For example, disorderly conduct, public lewdness, and prostitution are treated as the crimes against public order. Drug-related crime. Crimes related to drugs involve manufacture, possession, distribution, and sales of drugs. Then we call it as drugs-related crime. Then we have infractions. When used as a legal term, an infraction is a violation of some regulation, municipal code, or ordinance. It is also known as a petty offense. In some states and cities, an infraction may be a violation of traffic laws as well, my dear friends. Then the next one is victimful and victimless crimes. Crimes, victimization, or the crimes are categorized into three types. Crimes for which there is an intended victim, like who is going to be raped or who is going to be murdered and so on. So here we are going to have a specific selected person. The second one is crimes in which victimization is a result of carelessness, nothing but negligent manslaughter. The third one is crimes in which participation in the crime is voluntary. For example, prostitution, drug offense, and so on. So the victimful or victimless crimes can be categorized into three types. One is intended crime or victim. The victim is just because of carelessness, and the third one is voluntary one. So these are the types of crime we have in the society. Now let us discuss about delinquency. Delinquency has been seen as a social problem since Industrial Revolution. And there was a debate being going on in the society, in the institutions, about effective punishment, treatment, and rehabilitation for this delinquency as a social problem, and our duty is to find the solution for this social problem. So since 1970s, the government and agencies, along with the researchers, are employing a lot of methods to study the people, and they're also trying to develop the theories based on their experimentation. And based on that, they're also trying to identify the specific antecedents and mediators of delinquency and crime. This process includes developmental sequencing of these antecedents that in turn is leading to the development of precise interventions. Actually, the term delinquency refers to either something late is being done, such as a person is going to make the credit card payment a little bit late, or else a person is going to have improper or criminal behavior and so on. Actually, the delinquency is generally thought as the mean criminal behavior committed by juveniles under the legal age of adulthood. So a widely used definition was proposed by Hitchens in the year 1969 as delinquency is defined as by acts, the detention of which is thought to result in punishment of the person committed them by agents of larger society. Although the notion of juvenile delinquency is now ambiguous, prior to the late 19th century, few legal distinctions were made between juveniles and adults. Every child, it is relatively a modern concept. The most common examples for delinquency are age-related crimes such as staying out of the school or staying out of the home for late nights and so on, my dear friends. Breaking from the tradition of treating children as miniature adults, the start of the 20th century witnessed a group of reformers in Chicago who tried to create the first juvenile code. The motivating idea was that the children had special needs and we have to treat them not on par with the adults, my dear friends. So a special code, juvenile code, came into existence for the juveniles. Now let us discuss what is this juvenile delinquency. A juvenile is a child or young person who is under the respective legal system may be dealt with for an offense committed by him or her in a manner which is different from that of an adult. A child is regarded as a juvenile delinquent if he or she is going to violate the set of norms and values which are there in that society, or else if he has committed any crime, then we call him as juvenile delinquency. The Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2000 is a legal framework for juvenile justice in India. In the wake of in the wake of Nirbhaya gang rape in Delhi in the year 2012, the law suffered nationwide criticism owing to its helplessness against crimes where juveniles get involved in heinous crimes like rape and murder. In 2015, in response to the people's sentiments, both the houses in parliament has amended the Juvenile Act, lowering the age of juvenile to 16 years and proposed adult-like treatment for juveniles accused of heinous crimes. Let us have the classification of juvenile delinquents. Different scholars have classified juvenile delinquents on different bases. Hish has classified the juvenile delinquents into 6 groups. The first one is incorrigibility. Incorrigibility. For example, disobedience and keeping late hours and so on is treated as incorrigibility. The next one is truancy. If the child is going to stay away from the school. Third one is larceny. If a person is going to take petty thefts, armed robbery, and so on, then we call it as larceny. Then we have destruction of property. If a person is going to destroy the property of public or private, doesn't matter, it is also treated as juvenile delinquency. And the fifth one is violence against individual or community. And the last one is sexual offenses ranging from homosexuality to rape. Eaton and Folk has classified delinquency into 5 groups according to the offense minors violate. According to the offense, sorry. The first one is minor violations like disorderly conduct, minor traffic violations, and so on. Then major violations like theft and so on. Then property violations, addictions, and bodily harm, including homicide and rape. Now, according to Prozamvik, he has classified the juvenile delinquents like accidental, ill-socialized, aggressive, occasional, professional, and gang organized. So in this class, my dear friends, we have discussed about what is deviance. We also discussed what is juvenile delinquency, and we also discussed about the types of crime. Now let us go for theories of crime. The first theory is the biological theory of crime. There is no one cause of crime, my dear friends. Crime is highly complex phenomena that changes from culture to culture and from time to time. Biological explanations of crime assumes that some people are born criminals, so physiologically distinct from that of non-criminals. The most famous prominent of this approach is Cesar Lombroso. One of the earliest theories of crime is traced to the biological makeup of individual beings. This theory tries to identify certain biological characteristics which are unique to the criminals and therefore they are characterized and also labeled. Biological explanations of crime assume that some people are born criminals who are physiologically distinct from non-criminals. According to biological theory, biophysical factors like genetic influence, chromosomal abnormalities, biochemical irregularities, and so on predispose certain people to crime. Biological theories of crime attempt to explain behaviors contrary to societal expectations through the examination of individuals' characteristics. And now, the contemporary approaches of biological theory of crime focuses on three factors: biochemical conditions, neurophysiological conditions, and the third one is genetic inheritance or abnormality intelligence. The first one is biochemical condition and crime. Some biosocial theorists believe that biochemical conditions, which include acquiring through diet, control or influence of violent behavior, biochemical factors that might influence aggressive range from nutrition to allergies, factors such as low intelligence, poor diet, impulsivity, and hyperactivity hormones such as testosterone and cortisol and environmental pollution may all affect persons' biological propensity of criminal or antisocial behavior. The second one is neurophysiological condition and crime. It is nothing but the study of brain activity. Some researchers believe that neurological and physiological abnormalities are acquired in as the fetal or prenatal stage itself, or through the birth, delivery, trauma, and so on. The association between neurological disorder and antisocial behavior has a direct association, and sometimes it may also have indirect association. The next one is genetic inheritance or abnormality intelligence. Genetical theorists or genetic theories of the origin of criminal behavior have been a source of contention for over a century. Lombroso proposed quasi-biological explanations of criminal behavior. Genetic theories of criminality has been especially controversial within the field of criminology because of the ethnic policies that are inspired that were implemented during the Nazi era. Antisocial behavior often clusters within families suggested that both inherited genetic factors and family environment are risk factors for this kind of behavior. Twin and adoption studies have been used to separate genetic and environmental influence and to assess the contributions that these factors may be liable to engage in antisocial behavior. The next one is clinical. Mental disorders have long been associated in public imagination with unpredictability, danger, and violence. This link is usually based upon small number of typical and high-profile cases represented in the media. Our lack of understanding and empathy for the mentally disordered has led to their social exclusion, mistreatment, and even sometimes we have abused them. This media misrepresentation has misrepresented and subsequently social fear has led to reactive legislation and policy. Mental disorder covers a great variety of mental health conditions, some completely unrelated to criminality, others which are stronger, although still exaggerated. Clinical means related to or conducted in or in a clinic, involving or concerning with the direct observation and treatment of living patients engaged in full-time clinical practices. The third one is positivist. In the early 18th century, public executions used to be commonplaces. The idea was that society would be afraid of the public punishment that came with wrongdoing and adjust their actions. This reasoning for punishment aligns with a view known as utilitarianism. It is a theory that one is motivated by pleasure and the fear of pain. So punishments can be used as a deterrent to commit crime. In the mid-18th century or mid-18th, ideas about criminals and punishment started to evolve. Positivist criminologists began to emerge, which is the study of criminal behavior based upon external factors. The primary idea behind positivist criminology is that criminals are born as such and not made into criminals. In other words, it is the nature of the person, not nurture, that results in criminal propensities or tendencies. Now let us differentiate between individual positivism and sociological positivism. According to individual positivism, crime is caused by individual abnormality or pathology. Whereas under sociological positivism, crime is caused by social pathology, nothing but the social issues or problems which are there in that particular area. And crime is viewed as biological as per individual positivism. It can be biological, psychiatric, personality, or learning deficiency. Whereas according to sociological positivism, crime is viewed as a product of dysfunction in social, economical, and political conditions. If the society, if the economical institutions and political institutions are not going to function properly, if they're not going to cater the needs of the people properly, at the time there are chances that the person may have a deviant behavior. The third one is, according to individual positivism, behavior is determined by constitutional, genetic, or personality factors. Whereas according to sociological positivism, behavior is determined by social conditions and structures. Because the structure is going to determine about the personality of the individuals. A boy may be born as a boy, but because of faulty socialization, he may behave just like a girl. It depends. So it depends on the social conditions and on the structures, my dear friends. And according to individual positivism, crime is violation of the moral consensus surrounding legal codes. Whereas here, crime is a violation of a collective consciousness. Sorry, a collective conscience. Crime varies with temperament, personality as per individual one. But according to sociological, crime varies from region to region depending on the economic and political conditions. For example, if you see in Bangladesh, You must have seen that almost Bangladesh and Sri Lanka are bankrupted, and there are plenty of problems right now in that countries because of recession, because of lack of employment opportunities, and because of political conditions and economical like. We can see that there is a lot of clash going on. And recently, if you see in Pakistan, a terrorist has gone into the mosque and he has simply killed himself, killing nearly hundreds of people, and more than 200 people have been wounded in that act, my dear friends. So the crime may vary from one region to the other region. It may also depend on the economical and political conditions. And the last one is criminals may be treated through medicine, therapy, and re-socialization. But as per sociological positivism, crime can be treated through programs of social reform, but it also says that we cannot completely remove or eradicate it. According to individual one, crime is an abnormal individual condition, whereas according to sociological positivism, it says that crime is a normal social fact, but certain rates of crime are dysfunctional in society. Now let us discuss about psychological theory of crime. Criminology is the study of crime and punishment. Criminologists try to answer the questions: why do people commit crime? What makes criminals different from the rest of the people? So according to the psychological theory, crime is the result from personality attributes uniquely possessed or possessed to a special degree by the potential criminal. So the crime is the result of an immature ego and superego, which is too weak to control the sexual and the aggressive instincts of the id. The psychological theories of crime look at individual factors such as inadequate socialization, negative early childhood experiences, which may be a result in criminal thinking patterns. When examining psychological theories of crime, one must be cognizant of the three major theories. The first is psychodynamic theory, which is centered on the notion of the individual's early childhood experiences. The second is behavioral theory, which was expanded the work of Gabriel Freud through behavior modeling and social learning. And the third one is cognitive theory. So when you're going to study the psychological factors of crime, we need to take these three things into account to study the individual criminal behavior. Guys, we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next class tomorrow.